the documentary, Rape of Two Corys, is regarding you and Corey Haim getting raped in your child.
My Truth is the name of the documentary. My Truth, the Rape of Two Corys. Now, this is a documentary I've been talking about for, probably about a decade. I've been talking about trying to get this story out, trying to tell the truth. Well, really ever since, a year before my best friend died, because he made me promise him that I would get the story out if he were to die before me. And so I'm keeping my promise by doing this. But I tried doing it, of course, many times before. I tried releasing the book choreography. We put the names in the book, in the manuscript, and then they changed it. I put out a Lifetime movie that I executive produced called The Tale of Two Corys, and then they changed the names and the situations in that. So they've been trying to cover this up for quite some time.
So are you saying that you and Corey Haim were raped around the same time by the same celebrity or celebrities? Is that the concept of the title?
No, it's not. The context of the title is we were both raped in different ways. One physically, one emotionally. But the point is that it's still rape because, from the time that I learned about his tragic secret, I've had to live with that and keep that for 35 years. But on top of that, it's not just that form of rape. It's also the fact that they've, stolen our careers, and they've done this to many, many child stars. We're not the first, and we won't be the last, unfortunately. But we're now exposing it for what it is. This has been going on since the beginning of time in Hollywood. This is a systemic abuse pattern, and we fully show exactly what that means and how it works and what we can do to fix it. That information is all in the film. It's vital. It's very important. This is the most important topic of the day. This is the most important topic of our time. We're fighting for the children's rights movement, and it's called Kids Too. There was Me Too, now it's Kids Too.
Were you raped as a child by someone in Hollywood, like sexually?
I was sexually abused by multiple people in Hollywood.
Okay. And when you were a child, and are you saying that a ring of pedophiles have been molesting child actors for decades in Hollywood?
Well, there's rings upon rings upon rings. I am specifically going to name 6 pedophiles that I've been talking about all along. And, some of those names have been named by name because of the great Dr. Oz, which I'll be on Dr. Oz later on this afternoon. Because of the great Dr. Oz, he helped me reveal some of these names already, and then some of them have not been revealed, at least not by me.
Can you say some of the names that you mentioned on Dr. Oz?
Dr. Oz basically had his legal team vet it out for me to make sure that we could do it. But as it turns out, the main perpetrator, his name was John Grissom, and he was a guy who, was hired by my father to be my assistant because he wanted to be an actor. He was an up-and-coming actor. He ended up doing a couple small bit roles that I got him by movies while he was drugging me and molesting me.
How do you spell his last name, just so that,
not Grisham, but Grissom. John Grissom.
Okay. And he was an actor
with you.
He's
been vetted because what we found out when we did our investigation is that he's actually a current criminal who's on the run. He's a convicted pedophile who refused to register with the state and went on the lam. And he's now running across Mexico, between Mexico and Canada, to try and stay out of America so he can't be arrested.
Is there anyone that you're going to name in this documentary, that is like an A-lister, like a big name that people are going to be shocked to know?
Well, let me put it this way. Dr. Oz said on the show the other day, because he was the only one who's seen the movie outside of the people that worked on it. We gave him a special screening because he's been so supportive. And he said, when I heard that one specific name out loud, I was startled. And that's a pretty big statement coming from him because he's heard a lot.
Yeah. How did these child rapists keep you quiet and keep you from exposing them? Were there threats if you ever did speak out?
They do things like the media to write terrible stories about you, or they use their influence to make sure that you don't get a great job you're supposed to get or a great opportunity, and they start trashing your name, in public circles and through the media and making you an embarrassment or making you look like you're crazy or making you look like you're, all the negative stories that you've seen written about me through the years. I'm not a negative guy. I'm a very positive guy. I'm all about peace and love, and I've done nothing except work with charities my whole life. But people don't really know that about me. What people know about me is they have this reputation that they put on me of being a crazy wild child or this rebel kid or whatever. None of that is true. And it's all based on them spinning the situation to try and make it look like I'm something other than what I really am so that I can't be taken as credible. And if you ever notice, this is done to child star after child star after child star. Go back through the history. Think about how many child stars grow up to keep their fame. How many child stars continue their success and their legend going as adults. It is few and far between. And I'm talking like, 1 in a million that actually makes it there. Because they go out of their way to cover it up, to make them look like they're, they've either gone crazy, they've lost their marbles, they're completely out of it, they've gone to drugs, they've gone to porn, they've got, it's always some tragic ending for these child stars. Why is that? Well, probably because they're forced into that, because there is so much pressure put on them to try and perform without the opportunity to do it because the carpet's being pulled from under their feet.
So you're saying that any negative stories that have come out about you in the last, maybe 20 years is brought on by the Hollywood rapists that are keeping you from advancing, with that scare tactic.
Negative story. Look, it's not any negative story. It's like the game telephone. If you whisper something in somebody's ear, they're going to believe a certain thing about you, right? Because they're going to go, oh, well, that's what I heard. And then they go and they whisper it, and then the next one whispers it. And as it goes, the story changes, right? So it just becomes more convoluted and more twisted. And, by the end of it, it's, here I am having, porn with circus animals or something. It's just, that's what they do. And they paint a picture of everybody out there, and again, look, don't believe what I'm saying. Look at the history. Look at all the different fallen child stars from, Gary Coleman to Mickey Rooney to Judy Garland. It goes on and on and on.
Now, are you receiving any death threats since you've announced to reveal your rapist identity?
Well, not only have I received multiple death threats from multiple people who are all working in a kind of a cult, if you will, which is a conspiracy, a group of people that was put together to kind of scare me, to frighten me. And yes, I've been receiving tons of pushback from those people. And I've also had 2 attempts on my life, 2 actual attempts where I ended up, in the hospital in one of them.
And when was that? Is that after you announced that you were doing this documentary?
Yep. That's right.
And what happened specifically where they tried to attack your life?
Well, I was almost stabbed. Or I was stabbed. They opened my door. They stopped me at a stoplight in an unmarked car and stabbed me once. Opened my door, got it open, stabbed me once, and then walked away. And that's in the film. Also, there was the first incident where I almost got run over by 2 speeding monster trucks that came at me in the middle of nowhere after we'd been sitting in one place for over an hour and then decided to walk. And as soon as we started walking, these 2 trucks kind of appeared out of nowhere and tried to run us over. So, it's very real, very scary stuff.
So when you were stabbed, did you see the person? Like, did you recognize that it was someone maybe affiliated with somebody you might be trying to expose?
These were men that were hired, and we actually have a lot of information about the connections and how we know that it was direct, but I can't expose that, of course. A lot of this you're going to have to wait and see in the film. And again, go to the website, mytruthdoc.com, to order your tickets and support this cause. This is a very important cause. It cost me almost $2 million out of my own pocket to make this film. I've risked pretty much everything to do it. And including my safety, including my life, including my family's safety and my family's protection. The time is now. You know, we've had the Me Too movement, but now it's time for the Kids Too movement, and that's a hashtag, capital K, little IDS, and the number 2, Kids Too.
Now, will the documentary have anything negative to say about Michael Jackson?
No. Michael was my friend, and I have nothing negative to say.
Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, did you interact with him a lot in your career? And did you ever hear of him doing something inappropriate to a minor?
No, Paul is also another dear friend of mine. We've been friends all these years, and I've never heard that at all, actually.
You were recently caught with a taser in your carry-on at the airport. Is this story true, and what is your side to the story?
It is a true story. What happened was I keep this taser on me for my own personal protection. I have to have armed security 24 hours a day. So that means that I have to pay security guys to come with me wherever I go, and they have to carry a gun. Well, in the state of New York, specifically, there are very, very strict CCW rules and laws there, which means that, you know, basically you cannot carry a gun at all in the state of New York unless you've kind of been grandfathered in with a license. And that means you basically have to be an old school New York cop to even be able to carry a gun. And so it's a very tough state when it comes to the gun registration and the gun laws. And so what we do is when we go there to do talk shows, we actually have the talk shows provide us with an on-the-ground security person. Plus, I bring my own security, but my security guy can't bring a gun. So I bring my taser with me, which is legal anywhere in the world, including other countries. You're allowed to bring it internationally as long as it's in your checked baggage. And the problem was I had it on me because we were walking around the city, and right when we kind of went into the TSA, I had forgotten that it was in my pocket. So I went to reach into my pocket literally right after we walked into the TSA line. We just showed our IDs to the officer, and then I went to reach in my pocket, and I felt it in there. I was like, oh, my God, I forgot to put it in my check bag. I take it all over the world, but I've been so busy and so stressed out trying to get this movie promoted to make sure that people see the truth that I literally was like, oh, my God, it's sitting there in my pocket. What am I going to do? And I told the officers, and I said, listen, I'm really sorry. I totally dorked it. I've got my taser in my pocket. I would like to be able to check it in. And they said, you know, don't worry about it. We know that it's there. Just go ahead and go through, you know, and then we'll deal with it when you get on the other side. I said, okay. And I did that, and then they freaked out and sequestered me and put 5 officers around me because it looks like a gun. And it does shoot. I mean, it's one of those really high-intensity ones that shoots projectiles. So, you know, but that's what I need. I need to be protected right now. And it's unfortunate that I should even be living in fear. The ones that should be living in fear are the rapists and the sexual child abusers. Those are the ones that should be shaking in their boots right now, not me.
Did they confiscate it and let you go, or?
No, they actually gave it back, but that was after 3 hours. I missed my flight. You know, we had a lot of pride to go buy some new luggage so I could pack it in a bag and then send it off. You know, I mean, it was a whole hassle, and obviously it was very embarrassing on TMZ and all that, but that's all right. You know, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened to me, that's for sure.
What celebrity have you enjoyed meeting the least?
Marilyn Manson. He's just gross. I don't know. He's a gross guy.
What is he like in person?
He's really nice. That's the thing. He's very friendly, but he's very fake. So he's full of deception, and he's just a tricky trickster. So, like, he'll be really nice to you and pretend he's your friend. He's, like, fawn over me, tell me he was a big fan of mine, and then he, like, goes and talks smack about people behind their back, and he digs a knife in their back, and that's the type of person he is. So, you know, I can openly say he's my least favorite, I guess, pseudo-celebrity out there. I mean, he used to be pretty famous. He's not that famous anymore, you know, kind of lost it because he got older and heavy and started balding and all that stuff. So, I don't know, he's not the same. But, you know, back in the day, he was pretty intimidating for people. Hey, this is Corey Feldman, and you're listening to the Domenick Nati Show.